My friends don't like no limo 10 off at my car, yeah, I had it hurt. So my two broke bad, I ain't had her.
Here's just housekeeping. How did everybody make it through the third day of practice?
No issues with the players that were available for live play. No update on anyone else. Cam continues to participate in everything except live action.
What's the plan for tomorrow with LeBron and AD?
Still talking through it. They're gonna play this weekend, but we're still talking through what minutes and rotations look like for everybody.
When you say they're gonna play this weekend, you're not gonna tell me, but you one of the two games, like both to some degree.
Still deciding on that. I mean, we're trying to figure out, and we have a general idea of what that looks like for all of preseason, but just trying to figure out what makes the most sense. Our framework for a plan is based in real time, based on how these guys feel. And we had, I lived this as a player. You can have a 3.5-hour practice where you're standing around for 45 minutes and people are talking and teaching, and we didn't do that the first 2 days. It was 2 hours and 5 minutes with 2 water breaks. Today was 60 minutes with no water breaks, one thing to the next. So we got to see how they feel, and we'll adjust accordingly. And when it's appropriate, we'll let you guys know.
What are the challenges as you're trying to install new systems? There's obviously, like, you want to see your groups together the way that they're going to play in the regular season. At the same time, you have to be cognizant of the fact that LeBron's going to be 40s and 80s and years that they had long summers. How do you balance kind of wanting to install and get all the time that you want on the floor with obviously the caution that's required for preseason events?
Yeah, I think we have enough time. I'm confident that given our level of work, and I would call it preliminary install in September, we were in constant communication. I was as we were building out languages and our systems. I would update those guys every 10 days or so with an updated PDF of all the stuff. If they had any questions, we talked about it.
Getting the check on read messages on those in September, they were.
Yeah, they downloaded them. They downloaded them. No, I know that they looked at it because they asked me questions about it. Yeah. I think for all our guys, that has not been a concern, to be honest with you, because we're being very deliberate with installs. To me, it's not a concern. The bigger point of emphasis is just being really attentive to the details in everything that we're doing. Whether that's a pick and roll strategy, our body positioning on off-ball splits, the timing of thing on offense, our positioning on offense, all of those things, getting our screening angles right. That's more the concern than trying to install an entire system in 3 weeks.
Is that stuff born out of repetition, or is that born out of good?
Everybody learns differently. I think you have to look at it through a group lens, and then you have to look at it through an individual lens. And so for people on our team that need work on certain things, we just incorporate that into their player development.
JJ, you've been familiar with Anthony Davis for a long time, obviously, but has anything stood out just being this close, on a daily basis now about his game or just him as a guy?
Yeah, I mean, he stands out. I think just the presence on both ends of the floor. He's been a willing participant in three-point shooting in live action, which I've been happy with. But no, everything he does on the basketball court is at an elite level, and it's exciting for us to see some of the things that we envisioned and that we talked about for the last 3 months come to fruition in camp, in live play. That's been really fun.
Coach,
JJ, has there been any unexpected challenges or kind of adjustments that you've had to make with this, given this new position?
I would say like the biggest one is probably around 4 o'clock, and I'm getting home to my kids and having the energy to go out and play football with them in the backyard, or go do drills with them, or go watch their game. That's honestly been the biggest challenge. The day starts early. There's a lot of being on, and then you got to go be a present dad. So that's probably the biggest challenge.
JJ, a lot of coaches, when it comes to starting lineups, they treat it like government secrets. They're very secretive about it. You went the opposite route. You revealed it before the season even started. What was the thought process behind that?
Why not? I guess. I mean, it's Chris Finch is going to get my starting lineup before the game. He's going to have a general idea. We're going to play them in the preseason. Like I don't care. I mean, we're going to have the same lineup in Game 10 if we're healthy. We're going to have the lineup in Game 20. Like I'm not. I mentioned the other day envisioning a 9-man rotation in the regular season. I hope you guys know this. Like I'm open-minded to everything. And I think one of the greatest things that I learned from all the coaches that I played for that I really appreciated, particularly Coach K, is you always have to be adaptable as a player, as a coach. So that's what we're going to go with. I don't need to hold that as a secret. It's not a big deal.
It's just unusual. A lot of coaches go the opposite route, so I was just curious if there was a philosophical.
The other thing is just creating clarity for the players. I mean, that's something that I know I value as a player.
Gabe Vincent went from a final room with Miami, signs the biggest contract of his life by far, and then only play like 10 games or so last year. Obviously, that's kind of a big transition for anyone to go through. How, as a coach, can you support him in having this season be successful?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the communication level regarding his health, I think, is where it starts. I'm not going to ask him to do anything that's going to put him in a position to get hurt again. I think we constantly have to monitor that with our player performance staff and Dr. Sims. In terms of the basketball piece, he and I spent about 3.5 hours together. Had a couple of glasses of, I think it was Sancerre, but it could have been Chablis, in Vegas during Summer League. And one of the things I just talked about with him is just having a really aggressive mentality. He is, and I knew this prior to him being back in the gym, I knew that he was super professional. Rob talked about that when I got the job. He's like, we have a lot of these guys. I feel very fortunate, but he's like one of those guys where you're like, man, I'd love to have 10 Gabe Vincents. He's easy to coach. You know what he's going to be day to day, consistency. So for the performance side, in terms of on-court production and all of that, I think the biggest thing for him is just having a really aggressive mentality. Don't turn down shots. You're coming off an action. Your first shot is shoot a 3. And I think for him specifically, I think just creating that level of freedom and clear-mindedness is important.
Time for it. Yeah. So what's your reaction to that? I just appreciate that. I appreciate his acknowledgement of the work I've been putting in and what I bring to the table each day.
You've been a part of several training camps at this point. What stands out to you about the way JJ's gone about this camp compared to last year and even previous seasons you've had with the Heat?
Yeah, I mean, I think JJ and his staff have been very intentional with our time in the gym, with our drills that we're doing. So, I mean, they've had a plan coming in and then executing it effectively.
Go. Just kind of going on time efficiency. All the players have mentioned that time efficiency. What sticks out in terms of time efficiency? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think whether it's communicating the drill or task at hand, and then us executing. I mean, we're able to do it intensely in a short amount of time, or shorter amount of time, if you will, to just get the most out of our day. So to take a couple hours and just maximize it.
It goes without saying that this is going to be an important year for you, considering last year how year one with Lakers went for you. How have you been preparing for it with everything, mind, body, spirit, in the offseason for this moment?
I mean, honestly, every year is important, to be honest. So the preparation has been somewhat of the same. Having a little extra time in the offseason has been great for the body, and obviously great for the mind. So eager to get out there and compete. Only playing 11 games last year. The competitor in me is eager to get out.
D'Lo was named the starter by JJ, and obviously Volker last year he was the starter. How do you think you guys can kind of complement each other? Do you imagine spending much time on the court together? Like, just how do you look at that dynamic?
I mean, I have no clue what the rotation is going to be like, or how they'll do that, or who I'll be on the court with. But D'Lo's a hell of a player. Happy for him, and it's great for this ball club. So anything to help us win games.
Gabe, along those lines, if you're paired with D'Lo or sometimes with Austin, are there you can kind of approach that the same way, just given what their skill sets are and what yours are? Do you feel like either way it's a pretty natural backcourt fit?
Yeah, I mean, I think both of them are different, as far as they're both very skilled, but their style of play is a little different. So I can play with both. I think it just depends on what the situation is. And what's nice part is either one of us can handle. Either one of us is three, so it gives us an opportunity for someone else to get out and run and someone else to handle. So we get both actions.
With the first preseason game coming up, how do you kind of evaluate that? Kind of, with obviously now you've only had 3 days of practices, but what are you kind of looking for going into the first game?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had a couple of things we've touched on that are points of emphasis for us in our bigger picture. Obviously you want to do well in every game and win every game, but we have a bigger picture we're chasing. So trying to work towards our ultimate goal each day.
When you look at last season and all the time that you missed, where do you feel like were the areas you could have affected the most or could have provided the most help?
I mean, everywhere, to be honest. There were stretches where I wasn't even in attendance, whether it was a road trip or some home games I couldn't make it to due to injury. So a presence, a voice, sometimes it's a different perspective that can be very helpful. In this game that comes down to seconds and decisions and one play. So everything matters for us.
I want to ask you about you and your relationship with D'Lo. Y'all been doing a lot of workouts together, and the grouping's been a little bit different this year. How's y'all relationship grown since you first got here?
It's grown a lot. I mean, like I said, he's a high level player. He's very skilled. He's a great shooter, so we get shots up. But I like to shoot with great shooters too. So work on my game and try to push one another, even if it's in a small 10 minutes, and just get some shots up. So we try to get creative with that and talk about concepts off the court, on the court, and so forth.
Gabe, as soon as we enter, we can hear music blasting, and when we come in, the energy seems pretty high. Everyone seems to be in good spirits. Obviously, it's early in training camp, but have you ever experienced like a live DJ while playing this kind of setting? And what does that do compared to just maybe just having the music on or just playing without?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little different for me. I think it just allows a layer of distraction. There's a lot of stuff going on in the game for fan experience. There's 20,000 people in there. It's music. It's fans jumping around. So we need to be able to tune out even a great DJ in the corner. So it was just another layer for us to just work on our game and work on our communication.
At what point in the offseason did you feel like, I mean, obviously you came back and played late in the season and in the playoffs, but at what point did you feel like your body was 100%?
That's a tough one. Probably like a month or so after the year ended. Obviously I was healthy enough to come back and compete, but I think it was clear to everybody I wasn't really myself. Even though I was able to impact in certain ways at times, it just wasn't really what I was proud of producing, and I don't think it's what this ball club needed me at that time to produce. So definitely happy to be healthy coming into the season.
Thanks, Gabe.
Appreciate you.
It's been 3 days. How would you evaluate the team? Is that through the first part of the training camp and going into tomorrow's preseason game?
I like where we're at.
every day, I think we've gotten better, you know, at whatever our focus was as a group. Just the intensity as a group, everything we're doing as a group is kind of just feeding us. So I like where we're at. Looking forward to preseason.
D'Lo, you made it a point to apologize both on TV and in your media session with us on Monday. What was sort of the impetus for that? Like that level of reflection. When did that hit? That felt like something you wanted to do?
I mean, I left y'all with what I left y'all with. That's all I really got. It was in the past and just moving forward.
When you sort of audited yourself after last season, were those the things that you felt like you really wanted to put your foot down on this year moving forwards? Is that a fair way of looking at it?
I mean, at the end of the day, the main goal is basketball. I think I do that. So obviously, a lot of people get distracted from that, and everything else matters but basketball. So for me, trying to eliminate the distractions, which y'all can use against me or say against me. So try to eliminate it.
How is installation gone in terms of incorporating new languages and different stuff like that with this group? And has the fact that obviously JJ and the entire coaching staff is different, but the roster being functionally the same, has that made it easier?
Yeah, I think our group, we got some familiarity with some of the core guys that are here and obviously returning and is healthy from last year. I just think it's a high IQ. You know, the verbiage is very high IQ. JJ's a high IQ guy. You know, our leaders are high IQ guys. I just think you start from the top. It's easy to sprinkle down with guys.
Going back to Monday, you were asked about what a career year looks like for you. You mentioned the defensive end of the floor. You mentioned something similar last year too about wanting to step up at that end. You said Derek White was inspiration for you on that. What more can you do? What more did you think you can do to step up on that end that you didn't do last season?
Just be solid. I think I did it last season, but just be even more solid. Obviously trying to develop the trust with our new coaching staff. There's a point in the game where you can sub guys in for defensive possessions and obviously get your defenders out there, and vice versa, get your offensive players out there for advantage. Trying to develop that trust with coach, you know, to where he can trust me to be solid on the defensive end. So I am out there when we get that stop and we can just run, you know, instead of calling the timeout to get guys in the game. So just trying to develop that trust is my main focus.
This time of year, with the refresh of the season, there's almost a natural thing for any ball club to come in with like a new mindset. But how can you guys turn that energy into something that sustains?
I just think one day at a time. Obviously, a lot of things are being thrown at us at the moment. It's early, it's training camp, preseason, all that. Just one day at a time, trying to get better. I think the progression that we've had the last few days we've been here has been great. And it's something to really look forward to.
I know you have a relationship with Cat, and you guys are playing Minnesota both to start the preseason and start the regular season. Just what were your impressions of the trade and him leaving the Western Conference, and what the Wolves are like as a Western Conference foe now with the new personnel?
I mean, he dominated the West, and the West is obviously a little more better than the East. So for him to go to the East, I think he's just going to dominate it. Simple as that.
You also talked on Monday about just looking to maintain more focus defensively, even with smaller things and box out stuff like that. You're year 10 in your career. What are the challenges of just developing new habits this later in your career, new focuses?
I think that's the goal, you know, coming into the season. You know, obviously practice them during the summertime, and that was my practice all summer, just trying to be one day at a time. You know, my approach and my mentality going into each day, attacking that. So obviously it's the same thing here, new challenges or whatnot, but seeing if I can just attack one day at a time with focus. You know, I think attention to details and things like that is really what, you know, separates me from having a great game or a good game or a bad game. But just that attention to focus on offense.
Is it similar to the attention to details you put when, say, the ball is in your hands, or you're running the offense?
No, I'm not used to. I mean, I can run the offense, y'all know that, but obviously we got a lot of playmakers and guys that can do that here. So for me, figuring out ways to stay dangerous, but also be assertive when the ball's not in my hand.
D'Angelo, not just with because Bronny's here, but with LeBron, AD, like that have their kids. You now as a father, right? These last couple of years, is there any way that you kind of bond over that? Are there things that teaches you about being a player and a man, and how does that translate?
Yeah, I mean, you see it already. Obviously, Bron's in the locker room with his son, so there's father-son moments there, and for me, I respect it. I appreciate it. It's a little different though, because I've never seen that, and to normalize it right away is crazy. But I think for us to continue to see that, and it's becoming more normal to see those those conversations and those encounters, it's becoming normal. So I guess it is what it is.
And do you find yourself, with AD or anybody else that has kids, do you find some of the conversation then tilts to kids and what it's like being a father?
Yeah, I mean, obviously AD, we connected earlier last year. He invited me to his house and things like that, and I got to see his relationship with his daughters. Obviously, wants to be a girl dad and a girl dad now. And kind of broke that down to me. Kalinka as well. I think he gave me some great feedback on just fatherhood from a boy dad, girl dad perspective. So a lot of people, I ask those questions, and everybody here can relate. So it's cool to have that.
Last two.
D'Lo, since you came back, I've heard you talk about IQ and a lot. Thinking the game as well. Have you enjoyed kind of the level of minutia you guys can get into?
Hell yeah.
With this, with what's going on here in camp?
I mean, yeah, it excites me because I haven't really had the opportunity to. I'm not throwing shots at anybody. Obviously, I know it kind of spins like that, but I've never really had the opportunity to build a relationship with a coach over a long period of time. Most recently was Finch in Minnesota. And it was great. We got to the playoffs. We started doing really well. And obviously, the business of the basketball side works out. But for me to see how JJ's trying to bring these play calls, and just level of IQ into each practice, in each film session, whatever it may be, to see he's prioritizing that. And I've always been a guy that wanted to prioritize high IQ, high verbiage, high film sessions. Like, let's rise to that. And he's obviously doing it. So, like I said, it's something to look forward to.
Playing on that,
Question.
the other day, he said that 2 of the 3 ATOs that he ran out in practice ended up being successful. I mean, is that something that you look to? Like, is that like a coach's bag, so to speak?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's exactly what I'm speaking on. I mean, yesterday, he drew up a play, and I don't even know if it worked. I think Jackson did a great job of sniffing the play out, but I was on a golf course and I was thinking about it, and I sent JJ a little voice note kind of thanking him for putting that out. I never seen it. I'm not trying to hype it up, but I thanked him for, showing me that, and obviously it didn't work, but I saw like him getting into his bag right there, and it's exciting for players that, kind of notice stuff like that. Cool.
Thanks, D'Lo.
Appreciate it.
For what? You was gonna ask something crazy.
It is Dan.
Darvish or Ohtani? Padres or Dodgers?
Say it again?
Padres or Dodgers?
Dodgers, yeah, I gotta say it, no matter what. You know what, actually, you Darvish, right? You Darvish in
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, that's tough one. He's like my mentor, when I got to the league, and he was always like supporting me, He was always he came to the game too one time. I remember that when I was in DC, he had a whole like in my jersey, everything on. But yeah, I mean, it's just like one of those. It's just I'm just happy to see those Japanese athletes. They're playing against in one of the biggest stage, in the world. So yeah, I'm just happy to see, and I'm so proud of them, those two.
Did you play baseball much growing up?
Yeah, that was my actually first sport. Yeah, it's actually my Ruiz. I'm actually the base in the baseball in Japanese. So yeah, it's actually I was meant to be a baseball player. I really was. Yeah. I know my grandpa's probably so disappointed. we did a lot of practice together and all that, and all the sudden I'm quitting. So yeah.
Have you spent much time with? Obviously, Shohei's been playing right this whole time, but have you been able to be around him in person? Or talking to you about
No. I met him a couple times, but it wasn't really, we didn't have a conversation. We don't really have a comment. But yeah, he's just. I know he came to the game one time too, actually, when I was in DC, when we played against the Lakers. Actually, yeah, he came here. He came to watch the game, and we talked a little bit. But yeah, pretty much it. Yeah.
What have you thought of the level of detail that you guys have gotten into on plays and positioning on the court and stuff like that in the install process. And I guess, has JJ overloaded you guys? How do you think he's handled that part of it?
No, I think they've been doing a good job. The coaches have been awesome with we kind of dividing every day. Just giving us like kind of goals. Today's this, today's this, today this. So like we are able to kind of focus on the goals, and we are able to just follow their like drills, whatever, and I can see that we can actually use it in a game. So it's been like a lot of details, but I don't think it's not too much.
What was the goal today?
Today was a tornado. That's what he said. So no, he was just saying that because we only have a 1 hour practice, so we're just gonna go hard and then we
just fly around.
Yeah. We just wanted like a high intense today, so that's what we did, and we had a really good practice today. I think it was a short time. It's been great. Yeah.
Really.
Would you describe the energy around the team and just your early impressions of JJ as a coach?
No, it's been great. Like you guys know, he was just a player. Like a couple years ago. So I think good thing about it is just he was just in the league, so he knows exactly what's happening in this league right now. So he can teach if coaching us from the player standpoint. So like it's easy for us. It's easier to understand. For me, even it's like it just makes sense. Whatever he says just makes sense, and I think it's good. Yeah.
Rue, you mentioned the tornado and then an hour practice. Everyone's been talking about time efficiency here. Mm-hmm. What have you seen in terms of difference between the time efficiency between other coaches and JJ? He just on it. Like he just want to be, like I said, he was just a player. So he know exactly how we do in the NBA practice and stuff. I haven't really practiced like that. Since I got in the league. Shout out to Coach Brooks. He was my first head coach, but we never practiced. First and second year. But yeah, it's just it's just a different, a little different than what I used to do. But I like it. It's just we can kind of actually we been competing each other. We just competing. We like the flow. And we getting up and down. Our conditions has been good, so yeah. I just think that he's just trying to be more professional, in that way.
You've been in LA a short amount of time, relatively, like a year and a half or so. You come in, much talked about that game in Houston. You get a DNP. Since then, you've earned a new contract, and you go into this year with JJ declaring you as a starter. Like, what's your level of comfort now as a Laker, and how can having that kind of base of comfort help you perform this year?
Like as you guys know, just like you say, it was like really up and down, since I got into here, But I think end of the day, I was just trying to be me, just myself, and whoever sees or watching me, they always give me credit. So that's I've been working for, this whole entire my life, and that's what I'm here for, and I'm ready to win the championship here. So yeah, that's what our goal this year, and we're just gonna keep doing it.
Do you feel like the starting group has picked up where they left off last season in terms of just chemistry and figuring things out?
No. I think over the course, like literally during the summer, even summer, we kind of kept in touch, and we talk about, just the basketball, even I saw Bron Eddie in Olympics, D'Lo came to the Olympics for support and all that, so Vando was there too. So yeah, we're just like our chemistry has been great, since even we just got, back like last week or whatever, this week. It doesn't feel like, we just, we've been like I feel like we've been still, building the chemistry, so it's been great, yeah.
Any of the young guys impress you with where they were in the spring to where they are now? Just anybody that you feel like has gotten better?
Jalen has been great. He been I can see he been putting a lot of work in his body. He got way stronger. I can see that he's just more confident. He got a surgery a little bit in this summer, over the summer, but he overcame, and I think he looked strong, so healthy. So yeah, I like it.
You mentioned a couple times now that JJ, it wasn't that long ago that he was a player. Does that help you guys in terms of feeling confident that even though this is his first time coaching.
Yeah.
He understands you guys, or he'll understand what you need.
Yeah, I think because he just he was a really good player. So we just from before the coaching stuff, we just respect him as a player, you know. Before, so and I played against him. It's crazy. Like 2-3 years ago, I remember that. You know, so like you know, we understand his philosophy. You know, what he talk about and stuff. So it's just easy for us to understand. You know, because like I said, you know, we said like he was just a player a couple years ago. So he's just it's easy to understand.
I wanted to ask you about D'Lo, you know, and the relationship. A lot of players mention him as someone like they really rock with, and he came to your game, you know, in the Olympics. Like, can you speak to that and how the relationship's been and how it's grown?
No, yeah, me and him talk all the time. You know, we just, you know, of course, talk about basketball, but and outside of basketball too, we always, you know, talk about just the general in the life. You know, I like his how he thinks. You know, he's just a little unique, so you know, he just think differently. So when I want advice, you know, because of course he's a vet. He's been in the league for 10 years almost. You know, he's been going through a lot of stuff, and yeah, when I needed some advice, I asked him, and he always give me like a good advice. You know, so yeah, I always keep in touch with him.
Thanks for
thank you guys.